Oh, welcome. Just do that. Okay, okay. Just do it allow.
Hey, Robbie. They're one of the biggest foundations in production, screening, and just overall Okay, so this is kind of just a welcome to the they do incredible work around the country advocating for colon cancer. So, what is colorectal cancer? The first most important question today. Cancer is when cells in your body that are your normal cells will mutate and then they begin to replicate. So when those cells replicate, they can clump together to create a tumor. That tumor, if it's mutated is that a cancerous tumor. So that is already cancer. But what metastasis is, we hear about cancer spreading, and that's called metastasis. That's when the tumor in your body, the cells in it spread to other parts of your body, other organs, your blood, your bones. So it's really, really critical to find, to detect early. Because the sooner you can detect it, the more likely you are to be able to recover and have a wonderful normal quality of life, which is what I was very lucky to have. And then for colorectal cancer specifically, that takes place in your colon. So there's colorectal cancer includes the colon and the rectum. They're connected. And so this kind of is a clear diagram. I don't know if I can move, but this is the colon, and then the rectum is the end part of it. And anal cancer is also included kind of in this umbrella. Anyways. So colorectal cancer specifically usually starts as a polyp. And a polyp is basically just a tumor that you find in your colon or your rectum. That is how I detected my colon cancer. I will get into symptoms, but I had some symptoms, and usually there's a few ways to screen. We're going to get into that too. And for me, by doing that early, I was 35, we were able to find the polyp before it had metastasized. So I just really stressing how important it is. The earlier that you can detect it, the better it is.
Yes. And will that be through a colonoscopy? Is that one of the ways to detect it?
Great question. Colonoscopy is the best way to detect it. It is the most effective. There are other ways that you can screen to give you a sense of if you have DNA that indicates you may have colon cancer or something associated. But colonoscopy is really the only way, because there's literally a camera that goes in and looks inside your body and you can see those tumors. And so that's how they find them. And I'll get into this, but the scope actually has the ability to burn off the polyps. So that's how they'll do the biopsies if they do find one. And if it's something that they can see is benign, they'll remove the whole thing. For mine, the cancerous polyp that I had, they could only remove a small part, but they were able to take that and test it to confirm it was cancer.
And I had 2 polyps, and this was going back a long time ago. But then they said they were normal, I guess. I think it was 15 years ago or so. And then after that, 10 years ago again. So I've had to go a couple different times. But since then, I haven't had an issue with that. But I do have diverticulitis. Diverticulitis, yeah. Which causes kind of like a narrowing of stenosis, but ever since I haven't had small polyps, no more issues. Yeah, so, but I honestly see that. Not that you do something, but see actually the one I completely prohibited from eating. And then popcorn also, right? Corn gets really stuck, so I'm like, yeah, so those 2.
We're actually not going to get into that here, so I will speak on that really quickly. Thank you for bringing that up. That is the colonoscopy of dreams. That's the colonoscopy that you could really hope for, the result. Obviously not the diverticulitis. Everyone wants to be able to enjoy some popcorn and nuts, but if that's the worst that happens, then that's wonderful. If you get to have a 10-year gap in between your colonoscopies, that is the most, and that is like, means that your doctor is not worried about you at all. With diverticulitis, it's basically, there's little divots in the colon where seeds, nuts, popcorn, and get stuck. And so that's right, and it could create pain, they'll may get an infection and stuff. So there's a lot of reasons to avoid those foods, but a way that you find out if you have diverticulitis is through a colon. So the screening test for colon cancer, the only one that can tell you if you have diverticulitis, which is where seeds and popcorn get stuck, is through a colon. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, and there's another couple of 2 things as well. Those 2 things. One is like I eat they're very hard, so it's difficult to get from around, getting stuck in the lane. Maybe happens and I may poor, so.
Well, I have it too and I'm 36, so it can happen to anyone. Really? And so, one more thing was I just going to tell you about polyps. Oh, that you mentioned you had two, but they were benign. Think of a polyp almost like a mole on your skin. Most of them are okay, but if there's a question, if they want to test it, they'll remove it. So it's really similar on the inside. The polyps, they're little tumors. They almost, most of the time, they don't have cancer. Most of the time, they're benign, but you want to have them looked at. You want to have them removed and tested to make sure, and then that's how your doctor will determine if you should come back in 10 years, 5 years, 3 years. I'm very lucky I get to go every year. So it just, the more serious your gut health, the more your doctor's going to want to look inside.
So definitely take it away. So how did you go actually do that go like the prep? I know you have to go a lot before you do the one disadvantage. The one disadvantage.
That is the most common reason I think that people avoid it, and that's what I hear the most often. The way they changed the prep, there is Go Lightly, that's not my favorite. But now there's ways they can do it with Miralax, with Gatorade that's mixed. There's a lot of ways that they can try to help you if you're struggling with the prep. You can expect to stay home. You can expect to stay on your toilet, have a book, have a magazine, have a snack. Well, no, actually, don't have a snack, only liquid on the day before. But it's not like the best day, but knowing that it's going to clear you for potentially 10 years and not having to do that again, it's worth it. And it's an experience.
I have another question down here. So I had divergent device in the home, as well as something else, I guess the inside of the colon, something was wrong, and it caused a lump there, and I went to the doctor, and I guess I had some polyps as well. And so they, meander, they put me in the twilight, they put all the polyps out of there. So, yeah, it's better now. And then the end of the colon, I guess, they did actually excise that, they removed it, and then stitched it back together. So, what is that called? Why when we eat, they can cause a lot of issues. I don't understand how you can repeat it over and over again. But since then, it's been much better for me.
We're going to talk about the symptoms. We're going to get into that. Yeah, the symptoms are very important, and it's basically what you should always be looking out for. So listen to your body. That's really good that you went when you were feeling nauseous.
Absolutely, yeah, and I was getting that for nausea. Another question here. So, recently, I noticed that my doctor, I asked about colonoscopy, and my doctor said, oh, you don't need to do that. There was a line before with an X-ray or a CT, I'm not sure which. They said, no, it looks good. And I said, okay, I'm not sure if I really like that answer, that I'm okay, I don't need a colonoscopy because I have some sort of radiology.
I will tell you, when I had cancer, I did 2 CT scans with very intense contrast, which is what they use to really see inside of there. And it was confirmed through my colonoscopy that I had cancer, but both my CT scans did not show it. So, that is not reliable. It does not see inside of your GI tract. The wall of your colon is very thick, and it's really hard to see inside of. So you cannot rely on a CT, an X-ray, an MRI. They might see if something is metastasized, or they can certainly help find cancer, but that's not, that is absolutely not a replacement for a colonoscopy. So I would highly recommend getting a second opinion, and that's something we have so many resources. The Colorectal Cancer Alliance is like, they can get you anything you need. So if you're looking for a doctor or just an understanding of how to navigate that, we can help you. Okay, cool. I think we're gonna get. Okay, so first we're going to talk a little bit about the impact of colorectal cancer.
And then we'll look at that. I myself are thinking about it. So let's go back a second about the colon, right?
Sure.
I noticed that on the inside there's pulp, right? And then on the outside there is a lining on the outside. Are there no polyps on the outside?
Great question. So, yes, that is possible. That would be easier to detect with scans, but and it actually, you wouldn't be able to see that through colonoscopy if it's on the outside. In my experience, they thought that I had a tumor on my ovaries because of the location. So often it'll kind of give a sense of placement. That's usually where a PET scan is the most effective, and a PET usually includes a CT scan. But that's a great question. It's something that I actually need to look into if that's considered colorectal cancer, or if it's considered something different because it's on the outside of the colon. If it's still attached to the tissue, I'm sure it's still colorectal, but you stunned me, so. Good. So colorectal cancer is
So I actually have a question. What about insurance and policies and planning to pay for that? Like, because it's really limited in how often you go and all that stuff. It is limited, right?
It's limited, but it's critical. So if you're over 45 years old and you have not had a colonoscopy within 10 years, there's no reason your insurance should not approve that. That's a requirement. It's like getting a mammogram. If you were wanting to get it, let's say every 3 years because you're concerned, that may be an issue with your insurance because they may not see that it's necessary if your colonoscopies are coming out clean. But you should absolutely have access to colonoscopies every 10 years, beginning at age 45 through your insurance. Like it's a requirement. So similarly, if you're having an issue with that, it's worth contacting the colorectal cancer line. They have patient navigators so they can help. Now back to the statistics. So we're on colorectal cancer it's on the rise. So at the moment, it's the second deadliest cancer, with lung before it, and then pancreas and breast cancer behind. And in terms of the most common, it's fourth. They're expecting this to increase significantly by 2030, especially in young people. So it's really critical that you begin at age 45 because the age for getting colonoscopies or getting screened, because the age of like the median is getting a bit younger. So a lot of times people say like, oh, I don't have any symptoms, and I know I should get it, and I'm about that age, but I can wait a little while. And it's really the best thing you can do for yourself is to go and get checked, knowing that it's so common and can often not have symptoms that you see until it's been too late. in terms of its progression. So the average lifetime risk is 1 in 24 people will get colorectal cancer, and just another reason to get checked. And I will reiterate, like getting screened, getting colonoscopy, like colorectal cancer is truly one of the most preventable cancers by just getting checked. Because if you, similar to me, I was at stage 1 when they thought it hadn't broken through my colon wall. And because of that, I'm cancer free. My likelihood of recurrence is very, very low. If I had waited until I was 45, it would have been 10 more years. I don't know if I would have made it to 45. So, the moment that you feel anything about your body off, talk to your doctor. Symptoms crazy. The part of the one.
There's a question now. I was wondering, sometimes, menstruation can cause issues, can that kind of cause issues with the colon or is that?
So it doesn't cause issues with the colon, but what it does is oftentimes women.
It'll develop.
No, okay, so there's not an association that I'm aware of between menstruation and colorectal cancer. What I am aware of is that oftentimes symptoms that women have will be written off as something that is due to menstruation or due to having children. For example, they'll say, oh, you just have hemorrhoids because you had children. Or, oh, maybe you had blood in your stool because you're menstruating and it got mixed in. So, that's a reason that women are commonly, not checked when they should be. But it's not something that I'm aware of that can cause colon cancer. Okay, so symptoms, these are the most important symptoms to look out for. A change in your bowel habits, so having to go much more frequently or much less frequently, feeling constipated, feeling bloated, constant cramping, blood in your stool or on your stool. So that's something that a lot of people, I think that's one of the most common symptoms that people kind of are like, oh, I just have IBS, it's fine. And that's one of the most telling symptoms. So that's something I can't stress enough that blood in your stool, talk to your doctor. Even if it's not colon cancer, talk to your doctor. So more symptoms, diarrhea, constipation, like I mentioned, abdominal pain, aches, or cramps that persist, so that don't go away. And then any unexplained weight loss, and that's what happened with me. I had symptoms for 8 years, and about 4 years into those symptoms, I lost 30 pounds. And you can see I'm not a very big person, so that was a lot of weight. I was hungry, but then I had like 2 or 3 bites and I was full. I couldn't eat anymore, even if it was my favorite food. So those were all signs, but because when I talked to my doctor, I didn't have this information, I wasn't able to ask for a colonoscopy. I didn't know that that's what I needed. So we tried to treat a ton of other things, and then I finally did get a colonoscopy, and we figured out what the real problem was. So risk factors. A lot of you know if you have diverticulitis, there's certain things that if you already are prone in your gut to have issues, it's worth getting checked out as soon as possible. So in IBS, inflammatory bowel disease, a family history of colorectal cancer, so even if it's like an uncle, a grandparent, just anyone in your bloodline that has colorectal cancer, that means it's part of your genetics. And then Lynch syndrome and FAP are genetic syndromes that can be tested for, so you can get genetic testing to see if you have those, and then do preemptive, preventative care. So get colonoscopies early. People have gone as far as removing their colon if they know that something is so serious that it can create such a problem. There's a lot you can do with genetic testing and the information that it gives you. Additionally, lifestyle factors can contribute.
So you're talking about removing the colon?
It's possible.
So and then you have like a bag?
So, another reason just to go as soon as possible is because the sooner they catch it, the less likely that something like that will happen. If it spreads through the colon, oftentimes you'll need a bag for a while until it heals, and sometimes you'll need a bag that is permanent because your colon isn't able to do what it was doing before. I have a friend who has no rectum. She had to have or no rectum and no colon. She had it all completely removed, and she has a permanent bag. She lives a very normal life, and she's incredible. But it's definitely an inconvenience, but at the same time, it gives her the opportunity of like a completely normal life. So again, just a reason to get checked earlier. The sooner you get it checked, the less likely you are to have things like this happen.
And then, okay, I did have another question for now. So a while ago, I didn't have to drink something, but it was before the colonoscopy. It was like, it was from like SIGNA something or other. I can't remember.
Is it signature? Signature.
Yeah, and then before they did the colonoscopy, and I had to do that every 5 years. But now it seems like they kind of stopped that and changed it to colonoscopy. It's less risky.
I'll have to look into it. I'm not familiar. I know it's not a colonoscopy now what they do or they're at home test. Do you know what it's called?
No, it was the doctor who ordered it, and it was some sort of yeah. But she was saying it's like 10 years ago or so. It was another test. It was like a test.
So you can, right, you can get imaging specifically for sigmoid colon. So that's likely maybe they saw something there that they wanted to continue checking on, or maybe at the time it was before they were doing full colonoscopies. But now that's still something that they can do if they need to, but usually they go and check your entire colon. And then just lifestyle factors. So not getting enough physical activity, not eating enough fruits and vegetables, sometimes fiber that helps clean you out. Keeping stool in your body for a long time isn't good for your body. So that's something, clearing out fiber that helps so much. I actually know that. I used to, when I was constipated, I was stuck all the time. So that was something that I think contributed. It's like when the waste is just sitting in your body, it's not healthy. So you want to low fiber, high fat, and processed meats have all been researched to contribute to basically a lot of health issues that cause cancer. So obesity, cholesterol issues, heart issues, those are the things to stay away from. Overweight, obesity can be contributing factor. Alcohol consumption, tobacco use are all proven to increase likelihood of cancer. So how does testing prevent cancer? I've talked about this a bit today because it was such an important part of my journey. But as I mentioned, the cancer will start as a polyp if it's in your colon or your rectum. So the polyp would be detected through screening. I'll get into the types of screening tests, but the way that I recommend to everyone more than anything is through a colonoscopy. That is the most effective way to get screened for colorectal cancer. Step 2 is that during the colonoscopy, your polyp will be removed. So they would then either remove the whole thing or a piece of it for biopsy, and they will let you know after they tested it if it was benign. There's precancerous, and then there's cancerous. So they can also get a sense of if the cells are beginning to mutate or indicating that it was likely to turn into cancer. After I was diagnosed, my brother, who's actually 7 years younger than me, got a colonoscopy and he had a precancerous polyp removed. So if he had waited until I waited, which was still very, very young, he probably would have had cancer like I did. So polyps are they're the thing that just has to be there. Good question.
I do have a question, yeah. Some people who have rectal cancer, what is that exactly?
It's basically the same thing. It's the location in your tract. So your rectum is attached to your colon, and so it's just a matter of where the polyp lands. It may land at the bottom in your rectum, and that's considered rectal cancer. So, does it make sense? Okay. And then in terms of screening tests, you heard me talk a lot about colonoscopy.
So I'm wondering, stools, like, are there different colors of stools?
Great
Like,
question.
looking for, like, I've seen a chart of like green or something, is that something you're gonna be showing?
I don't have a chart of stool, unfortunately. That would be but I can certainly tell you what I know, which isn't everything, but I do have experience. So blood in stool is like, again, number one, it doesn't matter the color of the stool. If you see blood, call your doctor. That was my biggest regret, is not getting something, like not taking that seriously sooner. In terms of color, black tarry stool is something to be aware of. That is kind of like the only color differentiation that I've heard that is also indicative. This is where, like, you might be snubby, there's probably more that I don't know, but those are the ones that are.
Yeah, well, what you're eating black bread. That could be something to think about.
It's funny because it's a matter of like, the smell might be different, like it won't seem like a normal stuff, if that makes sense. You might be able to tell, like, something's different, like, listen to your body, you know. Because if you have black bread, it's normal style movement, and it's just darker. I don't actually know how color my food impacts too much.
Yeah, there's some stories, there's different stories.
I believe it. Great conversation. My favorite part of talking about this is the following conversation. So after, like, if the colonoscopy seems a little extreme, maybe it's for someone who they're 45 and they have no symptoms and they just, you know, they don't have access, let's say, to get a colonoscopy easily. There's a lot of reasons people may want to try another type of screening. So there's two types. There's stool DNA and a FIT test, which is fecal immunochemical testing. And so both of those are essentially stool samples, and they're sent to labs, and they're tested. And then if it comes back indicating that there's something wrong, you will still need to go get a colonoscopy. So just get a colonoscopy. That's how I feel. But these other screening options are great alternatives if you really have no risk at all. And it's something worth talking to your doctor about. They can usually advise based on your genetic history and just your lifestyle and what they know about you. So this is about when to get checked. I was 35 when I found my cancer. So 45 is what's recommended. That's like what insurance will cover, is beginning at 45. I recommend just going if your body is changing. If you have any strange bowel habits, if your gut feels funny, if you have cramping that won't go away, really just anything, like listen to your body, and if you feel just not yourself in your gut, talk to your doctor. 45 is when everyone should start doing it, but again, if you know someone who's younger and they're having GI issues, I would just really encourage them to get a colonoscopy. colonoscopy and talk to their doctor about it. I have a lot of friends who are in their 30s who are constantly reaching out to me asking about their bowel movements and what's normal and how I detected my cancer because people don't really talk about that stuff on a normal day-to-day conversation. So it's important to not ignore it. And if you're not comfortable talking to friends about it, talk to your doctor, but don't ignore it. And then if you want to know about your risk factors, there's tests to give you a sense. So you can get quiz.getscreen.org. You can put in information just about yourself. It will give you a sense of your risk factors and which screening may be the most beneficial for you. Any questions? I know we can go into them.
Question down here. So, okay. Gas. Having a lot of gas and really frequent. Is that potentially cause?
Not a cause, but it may indicate. So for me, I had a polyp that was blocking my GI tract. So it was hard for stool to pass. That's why I was bleeding, and it could be hard also for gas to pass. You may be feeling more pain, more cramping, bloating. Those could all indicate polyps. So it's worth talking to your doctor. But as far as I'm aware, gas does not cause polyps. It's more like a result.
I'm just wondering, a lot of people have gas. They'll have so much blood.
They totally know. I'm with you. That usually is associated with colorectal cancer. It's usually associated with some of the causes, like maybe they are lactose intolerant, but they love drinking milk or eating cheese. I'm certainly guilty of that. So it's not, I'd say it's much more like diet based. Yeah. There's nothing wrong. What I would say is let your body do what it does. I have to tell you the amount of times I held that in, that I held in, because I was at work and I didn't want to go in the bathroom at work and I held it until I got home. And so that's not good for you. Let it out. That's all I It's true. Yeah, something it doesn't
broccoli, right? Broccoli saying for giving gas, right? So I try to avoid that. Sometimes I will some avoid, and then cabbage.
So another option is you can, typically flatulence has to do with just like your digestive tract and how it's digesting whatever you're eating. So like as you said, beans, broccoli, if it is an allergy, because some stuff it's just protein. But if it's an allergy to food and you're noticing when you eat something, like for me it's lactose or for some people gluten makes them feel a certain way. So you can go to your doctor and have them do allergy tests on you just to see if there are certain things that you might be eating that you should be staying away from. I'm not aware of any of this contributing to colorectal cancer, but it's just like a good good to keep in mind.
Yeah, my grandson has lupus, big problem with that. He also lactose intolerant. Almond milk from
Me too.
and then lactose milk is fine. Lactose milk is fine. But regular milk cannot do it.
those are reasons that they'll want to keep an eye on your GI tract. So a lot of times people with those issues, it could have something to do with IBS, which we went over as a risk factor. So it's a reason that a doctor may want to make sure you get colonoscopy when you're 45 or maybe even earlier, just to make sure that those issues aren't a part of any bigger issue.
I see, okay. So last year, I had colonoscopy, right? And I told them I did not want to be sedated.
What?
Yeah, so in the morning, I was in Hollywood, and I did, I did like a colonic, I didn't want to do the breath taking, so I did something on my own. And it was a big deal, right? And then I went for the colonoscopy in the afternoon, and then the nurse was like, no. And I was like, no, I don't want to be sedated. And then I realized when the throat went in, I was like, oh my god, I saw it all on the screen. I saw my colon, I was like, oh, it's a pretty pristine looking colon. And I looked really clean, so it looked good to me. But they did find one very small column, they don't move things, and then she got to did it for her. I was fine at the beginning, and then the colon,
so no pain medicine, nothing.
Yeah, and
Your brain.
yeah. And then of course when there was a gas right there,
Yeah.
and then
But they do the air shifting not so much because they have to pump you with air so that they can get the tube around. And so they tell you to kind of just like let the air out. But since it's not from food that you eat, it shouldn't. But you are so great. I have so much respect for you. I got pictures of mine. That was good enough for me. I'm very impressed. I personally like to say it's like the best nap you'll ever have. Or it'll be the most interesting screen you'll ever watch.
the next time I think I'll do the sedation. I don't prefer chemicals, medicines.
Yeah, it's a risk versus reward. I totally understand that.
Like my story.
I love it.
Your deal.
Oh, thank you.
Next question over here. I saw, same as him, I saw it, and they offered asking if I wanted to go to sleep, and I said, no, I want to see. It was not easy, but yeah, I was laying there, I did not have anything to drink or anything like that, or anything to eat, and they put me over on my side, and I was like, oh my goodness, and they said, hold on, and they turned me over to the other side, and it
I'm so impressed with you guys.
yeah, it didn't seem like that really was me. And
Well, now you're all making me want to try that, but I mean, I might regret it, so.
and then, from my experience, I told them I did not want to. But they said it would be painful, and I was like, and they said, okay, ready to put the IV in, and they said, if you make you even wince, I'm putting you right under poop, and then you guys get it would be so, I guess I wince, but I'll never forget that one instant.
I'm insane. I love hearing different doctor reactions too.
So, a few years ago now, and I did not want to. Okay, so to tell the truth, there was a person, they were having a lot of pain in their stomach and went to the hospital, and they found colon cancer. And then they went down to stage 2, I guess, and then there was some medication that they didn't want to take or something, but it was a long treatment. And then they did chemo, and that seemed to help, which was a relief. And then, the hair growing back and everything, chemo, and, I just really helped with that person, and they was able to make it.
What I would say, is that I have a lot of friends who are stage 4, who were stage 4, and it is a beatable cancer. It is a cancer that you can overcome. So, again, it's a matter of checking it as soon as possible, because if it's stage 4 at that point, that's the hardest to treat and the most likely to recur. So the idea of catching it sooner is it significantly lowers your chance, not just of quality of having, and that healthy quality of life, but it actually really increases the chance of not having a recurrence. So that for me personally, as someone who was stage 1 when I was diagnosed, I don't really have the same concerns as my friends who were stage 4. Just knowing that statistically, I'm less likely to have a recurrence. Not saying that every time I get a new thing, I don't think it's cancer, but I certainly don't have, it's certainly more of a concern.
And then I've noticed that this person has heart and brain are very strong. So I feel like they are a fighter, they're able to beat it down. So I feel like if they were very stressed out, very concerned, I think we wouldn't depend on it, right?
Absolutely. And the will and the mindset is once you're going through it is critical to just stay positive and stay strong and to keep people around you who are really positive and strong. So if you guys ever meet anyone going through it, just be encouraging and positive, because that's really what we need, because it's going to run its course and whatever happens will happen, and it's really just the spirit.
And there's a question over here, I guess there's a couple of people. Okay. So I'm wondering, because you did have cancer, you're survivor. Did they give you any treatment, like medication, or radiation, or chemo, or anything like that for your course?
That's a great question. So another reason why I can't reiterate enough why getting checked early is so important. Because I was stage 1, I was able, my treatment was just surgical. So I did not have to have radiation, I did not have to have chemotherapy, I did not have to have immunotherapy, which is part of what impacts quality of life down the line, because some of those medicines do have side effects that are really challenging to deal with in life. And so just again, I can't stress enough the importance of listening to your body and going as soon as you can to get checked, if you're feeling off, or just keeping up with your 10-year screenings, because if you're stage 1 like me, you're going to be lucky and just have surgery and move on, and your recurrence likelihood remains much lower. Once it's stage 2, depending on the age, typically in younger people, they will give chemotherapy and often radiation just because the cells replicate faster the younger you are. But even at stage 2, they usually do give other medicines in addition to surgery. So the sooner you can catch it, the better.
So this person, their father, had really awful services in the hospital. It was cold. They had all these wires all over them, and they were always they did fall. There was people smoking, and there was music, and I think all hospitals are not great, right? You have to watch out and be careful. That just depends on where you're going to get your care and who you're working with, your doctor. So yeah, you got to be aware.
It's true. Everyone's experience is completely different, and it's really about like your doctors, your nurses, the environment that you're in when you're recovering. The one thing you do have control over is your care team, and just you can make the decision of who helps you. So if you see a doctor that you don't feel great about, they don't make you feel like they have your back and like they're gonna really advocate for you through this process, then go see someone else. That's not the doctor for you. You want your care team you want to feel impressed anytime that you need them. So that's kind of something you have to do from the beginning. So if something like this ever comes up for you or anyone you know, I highly recommend not settling for a doctor unless you're very happy with them. I was lucky I settled for my first doctor. She was awesome, but if I felt uncomfortable in any way, I would have gone and seen as many as I needed to feel good about it. Another question? The rest are just
So, the colon, and you showed that little polyp there. Can there be polyps all over the place? Where can they be? So they can be everywhere?
Inside, yeah. So imagine like freckles, and like my arms have a lot of freckles, you just can't see. But most of them are fine. When it's inside your body, they're gonna want to remove it to test it. Unlike moles, a lot of times they'll just leave it. But it's not uncommon to have a lot of polyps. It's kind of just like your body. My liver has a lot of polyps. Like I'm just filled with polyps, and that's why I need to go regularly for colonoscopies and to get checked. So it's kind of just a genetic thing, and it's not necessarily a problem. But you certainly can have polyps all over, and it's usually the more polyps, just like the more you want to keep an eye.
And then, to add to that, the colon, there are indentions in pockets there, which have similar to
So that's the diverticulitis that we're talking about.
yeah, the intestines. So is that the colon or not separate?
So the large intestines go to the small intestines, which go into the colon. So it's colorectal cancer ends like at the colon. So if it went into a different part of the small intestine, I do believe that would be intestinal cancer. But they are all connected. So it's a great question.
Gotcha. Okay, very good. Thank you. How big is the world? Or how large the intestine? How big?
They're really long, but I don't know how many feet. That's a question for Google. I'll find out.
Okay, well.
And then if you guys need resources,
One
we have
more question about skin. So I want to see more or like, oh, yeah, that's cancer, skin cancer. Like, oh, yeah, that's cancer, and they get removed, right? And they'll have like 30 to 50 things removed from their face, and they're noticing more and more. Does that mean it's like it's spread? I just feel like there's a lot of people who are getting cancer.
So it's actually, that's kind of what I was saying is really similar to the polyps inside. A lot of times you'll have a bunch of polyps inside and they'll all get removed. And they're just testing them, so they may see, oh, these are precancerous or these are benign. Similarly, like when you have a lot of sun exposure, it's really, skin cancer is a little different just because so much of like outdoor exposure impacts it, whereas like the things that are going on inside your body aren't. They can be, of course, impacted by outside things, but it's not like the sun or like a certain thing is creating more polyps, like it does create more skin damage. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think it's just from skin exposure. Yeah. stay out of the sign that works. Be in the center works.
Okay, very good.
And then we have one on focus.
I do have an experience. So, I used to live in New York, there I was in the hospital. She has my dad, it's not very good. And I came out to her. There was an interpreter there. This is a meeting. This is a hospital office. The doctor said, people who are sick can't learn how to do this test. So they did the screening, they put stuff out, and then they had an interpreter with me there. And they said, "Are you ready?" There was something there when we exercised, we cut it out. And then I was watching, but on the screen, but I felt like, oh, okay, I'm feeling a little pressure, a little pinch. That makes sense. Then when it was all done, yeah, they gave me some medication. And we sort of adjusted. And I said, not on this side, so they said it was a lifetime. Yeah, so I guess I do have something in there. Definitely with her life. And then I come on, here's mine. And to do radiation therapy. Yeah, so I and then I had for about 3 months. The last treatment of radiation. I had to go really bad and okay, and then I was asleep within just like seconds. And then, oh my goodness, I went with a friend and got home safe. And then they gave us to resolve the issue, but I feel like I'm done now. I'm doing more test. One thing, it used to be in the morning, and I had to drink water. And then 20 minutes, restroom, and I was all done. So that was my I had to put down and also and this was 2007.
So the minimum is every 10 years.
usually when I did a blood test.
But the
They said it's from colonoscopy every 10 years. Yeah, for colonoscopy every 10 years, it's critical even if they're doing blood tests. And then, if you want to let them know we have resources, if they have any questions, they can reach out, we have tons of resources for truly any question.
Yeah.
And there's a PowerPoint here, and if you need the PowerPoint, I can email it to you. So I'll email it to you, so you can take a couple of PowerPoints. And then also please sign in on the sign-in sheet, and you already did that. Did you all sign in? And Selena say, thank you very much, and enjoy the presentation, very good job.
Thank you so much, thank you for your time. Thank you for listening, I really appreciate everyone's time.
Thank you, this
Oh.